Renne Oliver is passionate about music. She works as a communication professional at the Orchard. She talks about taking a leap of faith into jumping into what she wanted to do. In taking the leap, she goes on a journey that takes her right out of her passion and right back into it. Hello, Renee. How are you?
Hi, Jamin. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for coming to this interview, and thank you so much for your time.
Happy to be here. It's a pleasure.
Great. Could you please tell me your career journey and how it started at Rutgers to where you are right now?
Yes. I would just like to back it up a bit. I graduated from my undergrad in 2017, and I knew right away that if I did not go for my master's and join graduate school upon getting my undergraduate, I don't know if I would have done it. So, Rutgers was actually the only graduate program that I applied for, and I got in, and I was done and ready to start. So, I started that summer, the summer of 2017, right after graduation. And I encourage other students, if they're thinking of going that way, to take advantage of it, because looking back at it now, I don't know if I would be able to do it where I'm at today. And I know some people do wait in between, but I just wanted to mention that. So I started it in 2017. At the time, coming out of undergrad, I just needed to get a job, right, to get paid, like many of us. So I started my career off technically in HR. I was working for like a mid-sized engineering company. And then a few months later, got an offer from Goldman Sachs, their HR team, and transferred there. So I was working full time for Goldman while also doing grad school here at Rutgers at SCI. And that was a challenge and an adjustment trying to juggle being a student and a full time employee. But fortunately, through the program and all the different classes I was going through, it really heightened my urge to want to work in music and entertainment. I've
Mhm.
always had a passion for music naturally and entertainment, television, movies since as long as I can remember. But sometimes it always felt so far out of reach to like get my foot in the door and get started. So fast forward to the end of 2018, I had one more semester left in grad school. I quite frankly, I was unhappy where I was at working in HR. Yes, Goldman Sachs is an amazing company, and I'm grateful for my time there. But I kind of knew innately that it wasn't for me, and that I wanted to really start and begin my career in music and entertainment. So I took a risk, which may sound crazy to some people, but I took a risk. I quit my job at Goldman Sachs. And I was just like, I have one more semester of grad school. I'm determined to land an internship somewhere in music and entertainment. Um, Utilizing my resources, utilizing LinkedIn, utilizing our professional development department at Rutgers, I was able to get my foot in the door at Sony Music as an international marketing intern during my last semester of grad school at Rutgers. And that was like my aha moment. Being able to work at Sony for those last few months while finishing up my master's was an amazing experience. I was able to identify with not only people that looked like me or talked like me or had the same interests, but just even the work that they were doing. And I could see how it applied to everything I was learning at Rutgers. And I really felt like, okay, this is the industry that I belong in. That was an internship, right? So it ended right before graduation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to turn it into a full time gig, although I did try, and I encourage people to do that when you're interning. Always try and see if that could turn to something longer. Wasn't in the cards for me, but that was okay. So I went back to our beloved LD and sat down with her and said, what's out there, what jobs are hiring. Like, I'll take anything. And with her help, I was able to land an interview at NBC News as an admin coordinator in the research department. And that was a part-time gig, so it wasn't full-time. I babysat my nieces and nephews on the side to help make ends meet. But that was another amazing experience, another aha moment, being able to walk into 30 Rockefeller Center and sit in like the MSNBC newsroom. To be able to work in the archives was amazing. Obviously, gaining more connections, expanding my network. It was great. but I knew I wanted more. I needed to be challenged more because, it wasn't the research department. It was an admin role. Like I said, it was part time. So, it was, the tasks that I was being assigned were kind of, the same on a daily basis. Although it was adding value to the team's needs, wasn't necessarily adding value to myself and my development professionally. So I stayed in contact with all the networks I had joined. I attended various different conferences. So just really staying on top of that and getting job listings sent to me on a regular basis and applying to other jobs. I was then able to land my next gig, which was at Paramount MTV Entertainment Studios. Now it's called the MTV Entertainment Group. So I got hired as a project-based role to come in to start. This was in January 2020, so a few months before the pandemic hit. But I got that role. I was an assistant supporting two VP executives. Obviously, the pandemic hits. We all then transitioned into, working from home and all of that. But I was there for 4 years. Like I said, I came in as a project-based assistant. I was then promoted to a staff employee as a coordinator. From there, I was promoted to be a publicist.
Mm.
And most of my time spent there was as a publicist. So I learned so many skills as it relates to publicity and comms, working on various different projects and tentpole events like the VMAs, Yo MTV Raps, VH1's Black Ink Crew, the CMT Music Awards, and so many more other different projects. Smithsonian Channel, like I could go on and on, but it was probably one of, if not the best experience I've had professionally. Because I grew, I was there for 4 years, so I was growing as an individual, but I was learning so many skills in terms of writing, editing, and also on the ground, how to run an event, how to run a red carpet, how to talk to media, how to talk to journalists, how to deal with talent. Sometimes I was dealing with A, B, C list talent. Um, so many skills and just knowing how to not even be a comms professional, but also just a people professional, how to work with various different people from various different backgrounds. Everybody has different motives and goals they're trying to reach. But as a publicist, you're really just kind of doing like 100 jobs at once. But the main goal is, trying to push whatever message it is out and keeping all of your stakeholders readily informed. So I was there from, like I said, January 2020 up until this past September of 2023, so almost 4 years. Um, I, experienced some things personally in my life, and then I felt it was time to make a change. So I've always wanted to work solely in music. Going back to, like I said, getting that first internship at Sony Music, I always wanted to work at Sony Music. And I did get to do that at my time at MTV via the VMAs and other music programming, but obviously all of my job scope was not directly in music, right? That was a television entertainment based company. But fortunately enough, I saw a listing come across for the company I'm at now, which is called The Orchard. It's a global music distribution and artist label services company that is also a member of Sony Music. So full circle moment. Now here I am back as a Sony Music employee, and I'm a corporate communications manager. So another, promotion or leg up in my resume. And I've been here for almost 6 months. It is different in terms of my job function from what I did at Paramount and MTV, but all those skills of writing, editing, being able to communicate not only externally but internally. Those are just some of the skills that I've been able to carry with me throughout this entire journey. So yes, that's where I'm at today.
That is, I love your journey because it's a full circle and it's gorgeous and it's I love how persistent and how like you were at it with a chisel and a hammer and a chisel and being like at it, one step at a time, whatever it takes, and
Yeah.
uh getting to work in the um
30 Rockefeller Center for that was at
Rockefeller.
NBC.
Sorry, yeah, that in itself is just like such a big achievement because like that's like a once in a like not many people get that opportunity.
You're right. It's a blessing. What it is what it is. I'm a very faithful spiritual person, so I really believe that's God's doing as well with
Mm.
His plan in my life. But no, you're right. I still have vivid memories, like at the top of my mind, of like the different journalists and news reporters that I would just see just like walking down the hall,
Yeah,
seeing that peacock everywhere, that everybody knows. It was a really special opportunity, as all of these were that I mentioned.
it is. It's truly special. And so I want to ask you more about some of your skills that you developed. You said about editing, writing, researching. So if would you say these are like technical skills like Adobe Premiere Pro or uh, sound editing? Could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like any role, and really anywhere you're going to need communications, right? And know how to
Mm.
communicate with somebody. Obviously, as a communications professional, that needs to be your bread and butter and at your core. Fortunately for me, writing is something, and editing is something that has just came naturally easy to me. But it's like a muscle. You have to keep exercising it and working on it daily and doing it daily. So that's one thing. But as far as like technical, you mentioned like Adobe Premiere or all the Final Cut Pro or all these. I'm even going to mention Canva or things of that nature. Mailchimp, like all these different like platforms that we use to tell stories and get information together. While a lot of those interfaces may look different, I've found that at its core there too, it's kind of the same function. Once you figure out how to use the platform, I feel like if you can use one, chances are you can easily learn and know how to use the others. But that has also been a very valuable thing I'm able to take with me. And I think back to that role at NBC News because I was doing research, but like physical research, having to like, they had a room full of like every single magazine publication from like the 1900s. Like they had literally every magazine, every newspaper. So from there, I'm learning about who the top trades are, what the major outlets are. Obviously we have like the varieties and the billboards as trade publications, but then like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and then even regionally figuring out what are the big publications in different parts of the country, like the Chicago Tribune or Boston Globe. So just learning all that stuff too, and it carried through to when I got to MTV. And I'm starting to pitch stories to reporters and figuring out, okay, well, this makes sense to pitch to this person, to this publication, but probably not to this one. And even now, in my role here at the Orchard, even though this is a B2B business company, we're not really trying to target consumers all the time, but just having that knowledge. So I think really any skill um, or any information you're able to obtain at any point in your career journey, especially as a communication professional, there's a chance that you'll be able to transfer that on to wherever you go next.
Understood. So it's like there's a lot of developing communication and then technical skills that if anyone does have developed technical skills and if there is an update, you don't really have to worry about it because it'll be quite similar to what you've already been doing. I,
Right, right. I mean, like how many different, news or website building platforms we have, like Wix, we have WordPress,
yeah,
and a bunch of others I haven't mentioned. I don't know how to use all of them, I will say, but if I were able to sit down for a day, I'm pretty sure I could wrap my head around it just because I knew how to use one. So,
yeah, absolutely. So it's don't be worried about specific websites or specific tools. Get
yeah,
get
every company
the
uses something different. You never know, where you're gonna go and what they use now. My
right.
last company used Mailchimp to send newsletters. This one uses Sail Through. Totally looks different, but at its core, its function is the same.
Understood. Wow, that's pretty interesting. You built a lot of network while you worked at NBC and then you worked there for 4 years. Could you tell me the importance of networking in your field and the difference it has made?
It's made all it has made and will make continue to make all of the difference. I think sometimes, and I was telling this to a friend the other day, we forget how many people we actually know, and not just know to know them, what they had for dinner last night or what they did this weekend, but just to know them. You connected with them, they know your name and your face, and you know theirs. We're fortunate enough to live in this digital age. I probably sound like like a repeating flowing message because I know we all hear this, but it is so true. We have the ability to utilize something like LinkedIn. We have to take advantage of that. I've gotten so many of those roles that I mentioned through utilizing LinkedIn, if not all of them. And if it wasn't LinkedIn, it was from when I attended a conference and they said sign up for our newsletter, and I signed up for their newsletter and I read their newsletter, and that newsletter, they're literally giving job postings and they're letting you reach out directly to the recruiter. You don't have to go in and apply through the job portal because you went to that conference, and that conference and that organization has a connection to so many of these companies. Why? Because a lot of their employees went went to that conference or dealt with that organization. They're nice enough to make any future prospects bypass that whole process and reach out directly to the talent recruiter. That's how I was able to get that interview at MTV. I don't know if I applied through the portal, if the talent team sees it through the portal versus me being able to get that email and send them my resume directly, because I was signed up for that newsletter that had that information in there. So I think it's really important to network, not only when there's so many events and conferences to attend, not only to network with people that are aspiring or that are at a place higher than you or that are executives, because that's important too, but to really network across with people that are with your peers that you're in it with right now. So many of my peers that I attended this conference with, or maybe that I interned with at Sony, we were just interns still in grad school, are now all working at other amazing, high esteemed companies as well. So we're able to lean on each other and keep each other readily informed. And if opportunities arise, maybe not even job opportunities, maybe it's an opportunity for our companies to partner in some way. It makes all the difference. So I always say, if you meet somebody, you connect with them, even if you don't get their phone number or their email address. At the very least, utilize LinkedIn, sign up for newsletters, read the newsletters because there's information in there, and check LinkedIn like how you would check Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Check it on a daily basis. I'm seeing more and more every day that there's more information being put out there, especially for those that are looking for jobs.
Right, absolutely. So what I'm really getting is through networking, you create opportunities for yourself. And
You create opportunities for yourself, and you will come across opportunities that you may have not even been looking for, but
mm,
they will find you because you made that connection and you expanded your network.
wow, that's that's inspiring. Wow. So
Yeah.
jumping from inspiring to the other end of inspiring is someone who's struggling. What would you say to someone who is struggling? What would you say to a student who is struggling right now?
Struggling in terms of just trying to get through the school
Academic
program.
work or trying to get a job, just general
Yeah.
advice, probably.
Yeah. I would say, do not give up faith. Do not give up hope. Your time is coming. It's not a matter of if it will happen, it is when it will happen. But if you keep applying yourself, meaning like quite literally, like applying to whatever job or conference or whatever, but also seeking out information, seeking out resources, seeking out people that are willing and wanting to help, even if you're watching this video right now, that tells me that you're trying to apply yourself to learn more. So keep doing that, because the universe is watching and doors will open. It takes time. I will say, when I was in undergrad, my senior year, I could not land an internship related to music and entertainment at all. I couldn't. I applied to like over 50 different ones. I could not land one. I did get an internship doing social media, which was great, right? But it was for a home healthcare company, right? So that's totally out of the field of what I wanted to do. But I took it anyways because it was something to put on my resume. And I needed a job coming out of college. I so really wanted to work right away in media and entertainment, but I had to take that job in that HR. But that's okay. It added to my resume. It's all a part of my journey. And I'm not going to say I knew exactly at that moment in time, like, oh, yeah, this is fine. In a year and a half, I'll get that internship at Sony Music. I did not know that. But I had faith it would happen if I just kept applying myself and saying yes to opportunities. And I think that's another thing I want to add. Say yes to stuff. You might have already gone to like 10 panels. Say yes and go to another one. You don't know who's going to be there. You don't know what connection is going to be made. You don't know what piece of information that might spark in your brain to then go out and apply for something else, and then boom, there you have it. That opportunity is opened up for you. So don't lose faith. Don't give up hope. Your time is coming, and keep applying yourself. That's what I would tell them.
Wow. So it's like keep going. I love your advice. I feel like many of us do find us that in that boat. It's like, when will my time come? And it's
It's
like It's a matter of just keeping at it.
Yes, and it really won't come probably when you expect it, but if you have faith, it will come. It'll happen. I'm almost sure of it.
Got it. Wow. I mean, I love your career journey. I love the advice that you give, and of course about the skills part. It was very insightful. Thank you so
Yes, yes, of
I
course. Thank you for having me.
it having you in this interview is really very, very awesome.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm happy to do it. You know, unfortunately, the school where I attended undergraduate school at is closing this year. So I won't have an undergraduate campus to go back to, but I'm so grateful that I decided to attend Rutgers for my graduate career. It's opened up so many doors for me, and it continues to today to be able to sit here and have this interview with you. So, who are you?
Are you, Rara?
Yes, yes.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, likewise. Thank you, Jamin.
Thank you.